Two little girls are dead. Their father, Army veteran Travis Decker, is on the run. And tonight, for the first time, you'll hear his voice from hiding. Was this a desperate man pushed past his breaking point, or a cold-blooded killer planning every step? Authorities call it one of the most disturbing cases they've ever seen. The question is, how did we let it get this far? Where were the warning signs? Who looked away? And how many chances did we have to save these children before it was too late? Travis Decker, a name that once meant nothing outside of a small community, now plastered across every news outlet in America. An Army veteran, a father of two little girls, a man now accused of an unthinkable crime and still on the run. Authorities say the remains of his daughters were found in conditions so disturbing that seasoned investigators could barely hold back tears. Yet, Travis Decker has managed to disappear, evading capture for weeks as law enforcement agencies race to track him down. And in a chilling twist, Decker himself has spoken from hiding, insisting he's not the monster the world thinks he is.
Since I have been gone, every time I've had the girls, we have been in campsites in national forest and paid campsites that have campers. We've never done anything that was unsafe or anything I wouldn't want to put myself in. I understand that my current position when I'm by myself isn't ideal, but my daughters aren't a part of that. I only get to see them over the weekends, and camping is something that the four of us have done since the three of them were in diapers. I've never done anything I feel like that puts them in any sort of a risk that...
How did this happen? How did a soldier trained to protect his country become a fugitive accused of murdering his own children? How does a society that honors its veterans turn a blind eye when they cry for help? The warning signs were there, loud, flashing, impossible to miss, and yet no one stepped in. Now, two innocent children are gone, and the man at the center of it all says he has nothing left to lose. Travis Decker's story is not just about one man's alleged crimes. It's about what happens when broken systems fail to notice, when neighbors decide it's none of their business, when friends look away, when institutions designed to protect children simply don't. Before the tragedy, Travis Decker looked like the picture of an all-American dad. Friends describe him taking his daughters to the park, teaching them to ride their bikes, showing them how to salute like soldiers. But behind the smiles and carefully staged family photos, darkness was building. Arguments in the home became louder. Police were called more than once. Neighbors reported hearing things no one wanted to believe. And each time, nothing was done. Reports were filed and forgotten. Complaints were dismissed. The children were sent back home. What we now know is terrifying. Authorities believe Travis Decker snapped. Whether from anger, despair, or something far more calculating, no one knows for sure. His daughters disappeared. A frantic search began. And when bones were finally discovered, the investigation turned into a manhunt. Yet, through it all, Travis Decker has managed to stay one step ahead. He's been spotted at gas stations. Cameras have caught him on lonely highways, walking with his head down, wearing a hood, sometimes sleeping in his truck. And in a series of secret phone calls, he claims he's innocent, that he loved his girls, that he's running because he doesn't believe the system will give him a fair chance to explain. But if he's innocent, why vanish? Why leave behind the home where his daughters once played? Why let the world believe he's guilty instead of coming forward? And if he's guilty, what kind of father could look at his own children and do what police allege he did? The truth lies somewhere between what Travis says and what investigators have uncovered. Law enforcement sources describe the crime scene as one of the most disturbing they've ever encountered. Evidence suggests careful planning, not a sudden burst of rage, but something deliberate. At the same time, friends say Travis was crumbling under pressure, suffering from depression and financial ruin. They talk about a man who loved his daughters, but felt trapped in a marriage falling apart. And now, for the first time, you'll hear Travis Decker's own voice from hiding. In these secret recordings, he insists he had nothing to do with the deaths of his daughters. His words are chilling, not because they're violent, but because they're calm, cold, controlled. He sounds less like a man grieving his children and more like a soldier on the run. I didn't kill my girls, Decker says. I'm not turning myself in because I know they'll pin this on me no matter what I say. I'm not the bad guy here. Those are his words, but the evidence paints another picture. A picture of deception, anger, and two little girls who never had a chance to grow up. As the manhunt continues, questions mount. Did authorities ignore signs of danger because Travis Decker was a veteran? Did friends and family stay silent because they didn't want to get involved? Could this entire tragedy have been prevented if someone had spoken up sooner? This case isn't just about one father's alleged crimes. It's about the cost of silence. It's about the cracks in a system meant to protect the most vulnerable. And it's about the haunting reality that while police hunt for a fugitive, two innocent children have already paid the ultimate price. Stay with us as we piece together the timeline of Travis Decker's life, the fights, the police calls, the desperate attempts to hold a family together, and the horrifying moment when everything finally collapsed. We'll hear from those who knew him best, from neighbors who heard the screams, and from investigators who are determined to bring him in alive. This is only the beginning. The deeper you go into the story, the more disturbing it becomes. And the longer Travis Decker stays hidden, the harder it is to know if justice will ever come. Subscribe and stay tuned. We're just getting started. But as authorities intensified their search, Travis Decker was already moving through a network of back roads, hiding in plain sight. His phone was off, his bank accounts remained untouched. It was as though this father, a trained Army veteran who once swore to protect his family, had planned his own disappearance with military precision. Law enforcement called it one of the most urgent manhunts of the year. Tips flooded in, but none led to him. And as each day passed, the questions grew louder. Why did no one see this coming? How could a man, known to his neighbors as calm and disciplined, suddenly become the focus of such a horrific investigation? Former classmates described Travis as quiet, respectful, steady, a man who wore his uniform proudly, who smiled for pictures with his two daughters at school events. But behind closed doors, there were signs, arguments that rattled the walls, financial pressures mounting, and friends who say they noticed his temper hardening in recent months. Detectives interviewed family members who admitted they'd grown concerned. A relative revealed that Travis had been drinking heavily. Another said he'd become distant and paranoid, convinced someone was out to get him. Still, no one expected this. Two young girls dead, bones discovered in a shallow grave, and a father vanishing like smoke before sunrise. Investigators pieced together surveillance footage showing his truck leaving his neighborhood in the early morning hours. They believe he may have traveled through wooded areas where military training once taught him how to disappear. Former Army colleagues confirmed, if he doesn't want to be found, it could take months, even years. Meanwhile, court records uncovered by reporters showed a history of domestic disputes. Police were called to the Decker home more than once, but no charges were ever filed. Each time, Travis had a ready explanation, and each time, the system let him walk away. And now, we are left asking the uncomfortable questions no one wants to face. Did warning signs get ignored because Travis wore a uniform? Did his reputation as a soldier make people look the other way? Did we fail his daughters long before tragedy struck? As the manhunt stretched on, national media descended on the small community. News vans lined the streets. Neighbors locked their doors at night. Parents hugged their children a little tighter. And in the middle of it all, somewhere in the shadows, Travis Decker was watching. Authorities believe he's receiving help. Someone out there knows where he is, one investigator told reporters, and they're protecting him. That revelation set off a storm of anger and fear. If a man accused of killing his own daughters can vanish with help from friends or family, how deep does this loyalty go? And how far will they go to keep him hidden? Local residents reported strange encounters. A truck parked at the edge of town, a man spotted near an abandoned barn. Every rumor sent police racing, but every lead went cold. And with each passing week, the public began to wonder, is Travis Decker outsmarting law enforcement, or is someone inside the system looking the other way? The most chilling twist came when a video surfaced online, a grainy recording, a voice claiming to be Travis. In the message, he said, "You think you know what happened, but you don't. I'm not turning myself in until the truth comes out." Investigators are still verifying whether the voice is really his, but if it is, this fugitive father is not just hiding, he's sending a message. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear next will raise even more disturbing questions about how a manhunt of this scale could fail, and how justice for two little girls hangs in the balance.
When I was separated from my original active duty, I came out into the civilian world and tried to figure out a way that I could live as a civilian. I didn't have family, I didn't have friends, I didn't have any support, especially come into a state where I didn't have anybody to lean on or a couch to go sleep on. So when we initially went through our divorce, I went and put the uniform back on full time so I could support myself and support the family through the first big transition of Dad not being at home anymore. Once I fulfilled my year obligation, I talked to my chain of command and stepped down from full active duty and transitioned into, my contract ended in December of 2023. Starting over is hard, and I'm starting at the bottom, and I've got a long way to go, but I don't think that it can restrict the time that I get to be around my daughter.
Authorities immediately scrambled to trace the origin of that mysterious recording. Cybercrime experts analyzed the audio waveform, hunting for clues, background noises, subtle distortions, anything that could pinpoint Travis Decker's location. But it wasn't that simple. Whoever posted it knew how to mask their tracks. Investigators now believe the video was uploaded through multiple encrypted channels before reaching the public. Meanwhile, pressure mounted on local law enforcement. Critics accused them of moving too slowly in the first 48 hours when Decker could have been cornered. The sheriff's office insisted they were working around the clock, but behind closed doors, frustration was building. Privately, officers admitted they were outmatched. "We're dealing with someone trained to survive, to evade, to disappear," one deputy confided off camera. More troubling were the reports coming in from those who knew Decker personally. A childhood friend recalled a conversation just months before the tragedy. "He told me he felt betrayed by everyone," the friend said. "His marriage was falling apart, money was tight, and he felt like the army left him with nothing." That bitterness, investigators fear, may have been festering for years. As the search widened, federal agents joined the case. Helicopters scanned the dense woodlands, drones hovered over backcountry trails, tactical teams combed through abandoned cabins and hunting camps. Each operation ended with the same result: nothing, as if the ground swallowed him whole. And yet, unsettling details kept surfacing. Credit card records showed that just days before the murders, Travis purchased camping gear, ammunition, and a high-powered flashlight. Why would a father who loved posting pictures of his daughters suddenly prepare to vanish into the wilderness? Why didn't anyone stop to ask? A neighbor recalled seeing Travis load several large bags into his truck at night. She said, "He looked nervous, like he was running from something." But no one called the police, no one knocked on his door, and two children would pay the price for that silence. Family members now face scrutiny too. Some have gone on record defending Travis, insisting he couldn't harm his daughters. Others refuse to speak at all. Investigators suspect at least one relative may be helping him evade capture. If that's true, it raises a grim question. How far will blood loyalty go when two young girls are dead? National media coverage intensified after reporters obtained disturbing court documents, records of violent arguments between Travis and his wife, warnings from child services that went unheeded, and a series of text messages where friends begged him to get help. The warnings were there, clear, flashing, undeniable, and yet nothing was done. For many watching this case unfold, it's no longer just about catching one man. It's about confronting a system that saw the danger but failed to act. How many times must someone raise their hand and say, something is wrong, before the people in power actually listen? Then came the most shocking revelation yet. A second audio clip surfaced, this time sent directly to a journalist's private inbox. The voice, calm, steady, unshaken, said, "They're lying about me. I didn't do this the way they say I did. I'll tell my story when I'm ready." If this really was Travis Decker speaking from hiding, he's not just running, he's challenging the narrative. Where is he? Who's helping him? And what does he mean by the way they say I did? Stay with us, because what comes next may force everyone to rethink what they thought they knew about this case. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss the moment this story takes its next explosive turn.